If you are suffering from hot flashes, they are a common symptom of estrogen dominance, meaning that your estrogen is high in relationship to the other hormones. But I'm going to share how to detox for especially those hot flashes due to that estrogen dominance. Now, we all know that we have a microbiome in our gut. We also have a microbiome on our skin. And of course, this is the relationship of our both good, our probiotics, and our not so healthy bacteria in these areas. So that microbiome, as it's related to our estrogen, is actually called the estrobolome. And this is related to bacterial genes that are capable of metabolizing specifically those estrogens. There is one in particular that is not so favorable in terms of that estrogen dominance, and that is called beta-glucuronidase. This is not so great because when it cleaves off that estrogen can then recycle in our system, causing a relative increase in our estrogen because now it's free floating in our body. So this is something that we definitely want to avoid, and whatever we can do to shut down that beta-glucuronidase enzyme is going to be a benefit for that estrogen dominance, especially if you're suffering with the hot flashes. Now, of course, we know when we do have estrogen dominance, besides the hot flashes, some of the other symptoms include night sweats. We could have loss of libido, as well as fat accumulation in some of the parts that as women we certainly don't like so much. So whether that's the back fat that we can start to see happening, it could also be abdominal fat, the breasts could enlarge as well, and you can develop that little piece of fat that happens right around the bra strap in this area that often women are not so fond of, as well as foggy thinking would be another symptom of estrogen dominance, and hair loss as well can be related to that estrogen being quite high. Now, my tips though, and this is the great news about dealing with the estrogen dominance for the hot flashes, is tip number one is to do a full body detox and getting those toxins out of the internal organs. Focusing especially on liver health is really important when we're talking about balancing hormones and our estrogen levels. That's really important. You want to do that full body detox at least 3 to 4 times a year, ideally, to help with that estrogen dominance. Tip number 2 is to include more cruciferous vegetables in the diet. So things like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. These are fantastic because they contain a special phytonutrient called the indole 3 carbanols. And these I3Cs, indole 3 carbanols, are really important at helping to conjugate and especially detoxify that extra estrogen out of the body. So consuming more of these vegetables especially is going to be really helpful for that estrogen dominance and the hot flashes. Tip number 3 is to include more fiber in the diet. Again, moving that estrogen out through the digestive tract is important. One of my favorite types of fiber to include, and I like to take it in a supplement form, is psyllium seed husks. And this again will help to keep the bowels moving, will help to trap that extra estrogen as it's moving out through the digestive tract, but also helps to ensure that you have proper digestion and keep things moving in terms of constipation, which is a big risk factor for that estrogen dominance when we're not eliminating those extra estrogens through the digestive tract. Tip number 4 is to increase your calcium. So your calcium deficiency is very much related to your inability now to detoxify the estrogens out of your body. And that estrogen is a big factor when we talk about the hot flashes. So really making sure that you're getting a highly absorbed type of calcium into your diet, as well as maybe taking a supplement. That's one of the reasons why I like a fossilized above sea level coral calcium to really give you all those nutrients, not just the calcium, but those trace minerals as well, to ensure that proper absorption of that calcium. Tip number 5 for the hot flashes is to consume some green tea. Now, green tea has the EGCG, an important antioxidant, which is known to really help with detoxifying estrogen out of the body as well. So sipping on some green tea throughout the day, maybe not too late in the day if you are sensitive to caffeine, but it's a great antioxidant to add into your diet, especially if you're having difficulty losing weight. Maybe you've gained a few pounds with menopause, and the green tea can be a great way to help with that fat oxidation. Tip number 6 is to limit your caffeine. So as much as green tea is great in moderation, you don't want to have too much and overdo it with the green tea, especially coffee as well. Too much caffeine and alcohol as well would be another thing that you have to sort of, watch your intake of. You don't want to overdo it because that can lead to higher estrogen levels as well. And tip number 7 is to include more pre and probiotics into your diet. So one of the specific strains of probiotics that really helps to decrease that beta-glucuronidase is acidophilus. So that is one of the probiotics that I like to consume especially, and to make sure that I'm keeping my estrogen levels in check. Now for more tips on how to fix that estrogen dominance, please check out my video, Women's Hormones, 9 Tips to Fix Estrogen Dominance Naturally. I'll see you there.